What's up, fam? I see my people already in the building. Let me go ahead and not delay, even though today is a snow day here in Denver, which is why I decided to do it. Just to do a quick 30 minutes, right? Because I'm later on this year we're bringing Dr. Joy Degruy to Denver, to the Denver community to talk about healing and post-traumatic slave syndrome, right? And so this is a tricky topic for us to deal with. Like I'm already seeing some of the people that are lined up in the chat room. I know these people have a certain familiarity with the topic at hand, but a lot of us don't. A lot of our community doesn't. And so what I want to do, and I'm not going to do a lot of the talking here. I'm going to let Dr. Joy Degruy do a lot of the talking about what this topic is, right? Just to give you a recap in case you weren't tuned in the last time we were in the house, we talked about that we're doing several things this year in 2022, and we're doing those because we recognize that from the year 2020 to the year 2022, this year, we have suffered more homicidal, suicidal losses since the time that they have been recording it. So what I'm saying is my sister down in Texas, Trania, says this very, very, very well. She's a licensed LCSW, right? Same thing that my daughter is going to school for. She said, so it's time to sound the alarm. Like, our people are not alarmed enough. There's not enough of us who are in high places talking about what the situation is and what we're currently encountering. And so I really took her message to heart, to be very honest with you. Like, you know, when somebody gives you that message and you're like, yo, this is something that needs to be talked about. And she's right, we need to sound the alarm on it. And so this is just part of sounding the alarm. And so part of sounding the alarm is if you can share this out as we get ready to go through this. Like I said, I'm going to let Dr. Joy do most of the talking. For those of you who are not familiar with Dr. Joy Degruy is an educator, and she coined this term post-traumatic slave syndrome, and she has a book by the same name. So if you haven't had an opportunity to check out that book, make sure you check out that book, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy Degruy. She does amazing work. I made a post this morning that talked about her video, and that's what we're going to go through. We're going to walk through her video. But I started off that video with a Maya Angelou quote that says, "Nothing works until we do." I just wanted to take a second to put this on ancestral record, because what has happened with that quote is lots of people in corporate America and in sales teams use that quote to indicate that unless we are working, then nothing else is going to work, as if what she's talking about, or what Maya Angelou was talking about, the great ancestress Maya Angelou was talking about, was somehow our physical labor when she made that statement. And that is totally patently false. That's only corporate whitewashed America that would seek to take the ancestors' term and to turn it in such a way that it means that unless we are working or doing work in the physical sense of the work, like making more sales, that is not what she meant. What she meant by that is until we are working, until all our shit is working, until our emotional shit is working, until our mental shit is working, until our spiritual shit is working, until our shit is functional, is what she meant. Not working as in laborious, but functional. Until we are functional human beings, whole and complete human beings, nothing that we work on will work, is what she meant. I made the point, if she was talking about labor, then we would have been working and everything would have been working for us for the simple 230 something odd years that we gave this country free labor. So of course that's not what she was talking about. But let's get into it, fam. Let's go ahead and take it from the ancestress herself. Walk through what she was talking about. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I want us to go ahead and split the screen and so that we can have a conversation around what Dr. Joy was talking about. So let's get into it so that we can I'm just splitting my screen real quick so that we can have a conversation about it. I want to make sure that you can see it. Okay.
What I know about sugar plantations, tobacco, and
so what we're going to have to do is do it by audio. No worries. I'm going to share the link. So for those of you who don't have the link, can grab the link and watch it for yourself and share it to your own people when you get an opportunity to. I'm dropping it in there now. What's up, Jeff? It's good to see you, fam. So let's go through the audio. I want you to listen to what she's saying. This is Dr. Joy Degruy talking about exactly what we're going to go through today. And I'm going to stop and start where I deem appropriate. So let's get this work.
What I know about American chattel slave, what I know about sugar plantations, tobacco, and the Caribbean, what I know about American chattel slavery and the plantations there. Does anyone right now ever recall mental health assistance to slaves?
Boom. That's her first question to us as a people. That's her first question to us as a people, in case you didn't hear it. Does anyone ever recall Black people receiving, African people receiving on the plantations mental health care for what they were being, what we were being subjected to? And this is a very real question. Like, unless you ask these basic questions, then you don't really understand why we are where we are today, right? Anybody that's trying to deal with us or trying to heal people or trying to support us or trying to come up with solutions, and they're only looking at what they're seeing today, are missing the largest part of what the issue actually is. The issue for us actually as a people has nothing to do with what you're seeing today. Today is just the waves that have been hitting the shores of us as a people for 400 years. So to try to address what's going on with Black people by simply taking an analysis of what you see right now today is to totally miss the mark. And that's her point. But let's ask that question. Let's ask that question. Does anybody recall any of us receiving any type of therapy on the plantations? The sister goes on.
Sending in the therapist after I sold off your son, daughter, raped folks. At any point. Never. Second question. After slavery was officially over. Now you're free. Anybody remember any therapy then?
Boom. Second question. And I'm asking it to you. after slavery was quote unquote over, does anybody recall there being a movement of black people who had just been subjected to the worst form of slavery that this earth has ever seen? Let me say that one more again. Matter of fact, let me take some water before I say it again. Water. Does anyone, I'm asking you, ever remember or recall that after the 230 years of chattel slavery, black people being offered any sort of therapy, any sort of healing modalities? I'm not talking about 40 acres and a mule that never really got carried out in the first place. I'm talking about therapy. Does anybody recall that? Don't worry. I'll wait. That's her second question. Think about it.
We know it's been rough, it's been deep for you, it's been difficult. We're going to do a little group therapy. Anybody remember that? That would be no. Number 3, after slavery officially ended, both in the States,
Third question.
Do you remember whether or not trauma continued? Did the trauma continue for people?
That's her third question. Let's answer that third question. After slavery does anybody remember, whether it was in England, whether it was in the Caribbean, whether it was in the United States, does anybody recall, is there any demonstrable record of black people being offered the necessary therapy to have dealt with the 230 years of slavery? Her third question is, were we still subjected to trauma after we were released from slavery, i.e. Jim Crow? That's her question. The sister went deep on them.
I need to know.
Let's go back just a tad.
Remember whether or not trauma continued.
Did trauma continue? Yes or no?
Did trauma continue for people of African descent? I need to know.
She needs to know.
So now let's do the math.
So let's be very clear. Did the trauma continue? Also, it's talking about right now. Is the trauma continuing? Is her question. But y'all know the answer to that. So we're not going to stay there too long.
Hundreds of years of trauma.
100. She's doing the math.
No treatment.
100 years of trauma.
More trauma. No treatment.
No treatment.
What do you do the math? Do you think there may be residual impacts of that trauma? Of course there is.
That's the fourth question. And that's the question that I'm here to ask you today. Do you think that we as a people, do you think we as a people are dealing with residual trauma from what took place with us on the plantation? Meaning, do you think what you see us as today, as a collective and community with the highest suicide rates, with the highest homicide rates, do you think that that can be part and parcel and attributed to our not receiving trauma on the plantation and not receiving any healing from that trauma that we received on the plantation? This is where this sister is trying to take us. She's breaking it down so that it's broke. You can't break it down any deeper than what this, it's more simple than what this sister's doing. She's giving it to us in bite-sized pieces. She's giving it to us in bite-sized pieces. Remember to like and share this video as it's going out, because this is just a snowy day, just for something for you to play for your children, play for yours and your friends, because we have a moment, we have a pause, right? And so I wanted us to take this beautiful sister, Dr. Joy Degruy, message. Let's finish up the message.
Friends, and it hasn't ended. Residual impacts of that trauma. Of course there is. It didn't end, friends, and it hasn't ended yet. So I think on one point, African people and people of African descent are extremely resilient. Matter of fact, I think we're a miracle.
Boom. Can we talk about that for a second? Can we talk about the miracle that Black people are to be walking around, just walking around alone? Can we give ourselves a moment of pause to recognize the brilliance and the miracle? Some of y'all have to go to a book to look at and to observe. Some of y'all got to go to Hollywood. Some of y'all got to go to Fantasyland. Some of y'all got to go to theological, historical reference books. What I'm asking you now is, can you see from this framing that sister is setting up that Black people walking around with any sense at all is nothing short of a miracle? Can you see that? Can you see that? Because I can clearly see it. I can clearly see it. And I say that to say that even though we are dealing with post-traumatic slave syndrome, it is absolutely important and imperative that we still recognize Black magic when we see it, so that we can continue to replicate it and build upon it. Right? And this is the piece that I want us to talk about and to be able to frame for ourselves in 2022. Because a lot of people want us focused on things, on material tangibles. But the ancestress said what to us? She said, nothing will work until we do. So how is getting our finances straight? How is getting our 40 acres in a mule? How is getting anything external or material going to work for us if we set that primary? The ancestor already said it. It's not. It's not going to work. You making more money is not going to work until you are working. You getting that man or woman that you want, or that car that you want, or that business that you want, none of that is going to work for you. Chicago has 6 Black billionaires. Have you been to Chicago in the summer and seen what's happening in Black communities in the summer? Don't worry, I'll wait. Let me say that one more again. Chicago has 6 Black billionaires. Is Chicago working for Black people in the inner cities? Don't worry, I'll wait. We already have the evidence that shows us that having resources and billions of dollars is not what's going to make things work for us. It's not what's going to make things work for us. We have to put our mental health first and primary and make sure that it's working for us, because until we are working, meaning till we are functional, until we can have conversations with each other without yelling at each other, until we can have relationships without trying to make someone the victim and the villain, until we can be engaged with our finances in such a way that you can give us $1 million and a year later we're broke, until we're able to get our mental together, the rest of this is not going to matter, family. Point blank, period. The rest of what you see, all the distractions in the world, is not going to make a difference. It's not going to make a difference. Nothing will work. Maya Angelou, nothing will work until we do. Nothing will work until you do. Nothing will work. Nothing. Not, she didn't say some things. She didn't say you got a 50-50 shot at this. She said nothing will work until you work. And how are you working if after 400 years you have not received any healing from the most traumatic experience known to mankind? And that's the way we have to break it down. How are we supposed to work if we have not received the mental health healing that is necessary from the trauma that we have experienced in the past and that are experiencing right now in the present? How? Sway? How? It can't happen. And the evidence of that is that we are currently experiencing a Holocaust. I know you don't see it on MSNBC. I know you don't see it on CNN. I know you don't see it coming out of Hollywood, but go and Google it. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to take my words for it. Go and Google gun violence from 2020 to 2022. And go and Google suicide. It's an uptake in suicide. Some have said up to 240% increase in Black suicide. And all the numbers aren't even in yet. Not to mention the homicidal rates that we are engaging in at this point. There have been more Black people killed by guns in the last 2 years under this pandemic that have been ever on record. And nobody is talking about it. Nobody is saying anything about it. What's up, Kareem? What's up, Alicia? What's up, Kalela? What's up, Osset, Mary, Danielle, Asmaret, Corey? It's good to see all of you in the house. Y'all hear where I'm at. It's good to have you in here, Kareem, because this is exactly what we're addressing is our mental health. But let's finish hearing what the sister goes with it.
Far be it for us to pathologize or to look and cast. In fact, I think we're a miracle. Far be it for us to pathologize or to look and cast this idea of weak and sick people. Oh, on the contrary, we are profoundly resilient because we've done everything we've done thus far with no help.
Boom. What'd she say? We have done everything we've done today, up until today, without no help from the systems that are still in place that created the injury from the get-go. We are where we are with no help. With no help. And you know what? Guess what? Guess what? Guess what? And I realized this in working and doing social activism work inside of the education system. Ain't nobody coming to help us. Ain't nobody coming to help us. Hear me now. The Democrats, the Republicans, Biden, Bernie Sanders, any electoral person, any Hollywood actor, any Black billionaire or white billionaire or brown billionaire or whatever. Ain't nobody coming to save us, including white Jesus. Why? Jesus is only going to save those, even under your own tradition. Jesus is only going to save you if you're willing to save yourself. So there ain't no help coming. There ain't no help coming. And we're showing that we don't want to save ourselves. Ain't no help coming, including Jesus. Asama Lahaya. But let's finish out what this beautiful sister is saying. What's up, Kendrick? Good to see you, fam.
With not even the ability to have this discussion. As though it were possible, we escaped injury in all those hundreds of years. What I know about sugar plantations.
Did you hear that last part of what she said?
What I know about Americans, totally resilient. Because we've done everything we've done.
Listen to this last part, fam.
With not even the ability to have this discussion.
Boom. Now, let me ask you a question. She said we don't even have the ability to have this conversation. Do you hear what I'm saying? For real, for real, for real. She's saying all of this is taking place and we as a people don't even have the ability to have this conversation. Oprah has a whole network. Homeboy in Atlanta has a whole studio network. We got more elected politicians than we've ever had before. male and female, and we still don't have the ability to even have the conversation about what happened to us and the damage that has been caused from what happened to us. I want you to think about that. What is it? What does it mean? What kind of freedom do you have? What the use is money if you can't listen? Jeff is on here. I was on Jeff's show about a month ago, and he says this shit to me, and it rocked me when he said it, and he said it then. He said the question was asked to us by a viewer. The viewer said, "How do we know when we are healed or on the process and on the road to healing? How do we know?" My answer was that you start to see works in your life and in your relationship specifically that indicate that a healing is starting to take place. Jeff's answer was this, and I want you to hear this answer. He said, when you have the ability to tell your story unedited, then you know that you have done some significant healing. Think about that. Think about that. When you have the ability to tell your story unedited by either you or the networks or whatever folks or systems are in your, think about that. For real, for real. Do Black people have we had the ability to tell our story unedited, even to ourselves? Thank you for that clarification. Unedited and without shame. Unedited without shame or blame. Let's get to the last part. Yeah, it's a lot.
As though it were possible, we escaped injury in all those hundreds of years. What I
As though it's possible that we have escaped injury in all those hundreds of years. So, family, I told you I wasn't going to keep you. And I just wanted to drop in for a moment to share this conversation with you because we're at the beginning of 2022. The theme of 2022 is nothing will work until you do. The theme of 2022 is nothing will work until we do. Nothing in your life will work until you are properly working. Nothing in your life will work until you are properly working. And you will not be properly working unless you get the mental health resources and healings that are necessary, both from your past and your present. Point blank, period. Point blank, period. Nothing will work. Us winning a Super Bowl is not going to work. Us winning a Grammy is not going to work. Us winning the lottery is not going to work. Us getting a Black president elected is not going to work. Us doing all these things externally are not going to work because we aren't working internally yet. This is an inside outside job. Point blank, period. No way around it. No way around it. It's an inside outside job. So this is what you have in our community. You have people in our community that profess to want the best for the community. And indeed, they may very well. But they haven't gone through the process of healing themselves. So even as they're standing up for us as a community, they're injuring the very people around them. So until you're working, nothing you'll do will work, including activism. Haven't we seen that? Haven't we seen that? So the imperative of those who want to be community leaders, the imperative of those that want to be community organizers is that you go through a process and be constantly engaged in a process of healing. Because you could want great things for us. You could want for us to have access to proper banking. You could want for us to have access to proper schools. You could want us to have proper access to hospitals. You could have us wanting proper access to loan instruments. You could want all these things that we put up and say that we want for ourselves and need for ourselves, and none of that is going to make us work. We are, before we are anything else, our ancestors told us this. I'm speaking straight because I'm about to close out. We are a spiritual people. We are not human beings seeking to have a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings seeking to have a human experience, which is to say, unless we are managing and have a healthy spirit, that nothing that we do humanly will be of any gain to us. It's the wrong formula. From the inside out, fam. Water. So on that note, I'm closing out. We're at 32 minutes. Here are the things that are coming up in January. Here's the things that the Righteous Rage Institute to Heal a People Sojourner are putting together for January of 2022 and for the year of 2022. We are putting together a Black Man's Healing Circle. My man Kareem is on here. He's one of the captains that is going to be working to help facilitate that process. Why? Because until Black men work, nothing we do will work. Until we as Black men are working, nothing that we are doing will work, including our families, including our parenting, including our jobs, including our relationships. Nothing that we will do as Black men will be working until we work. So we're having a healing circle. We're also we put together a cohort that is kicking off this Saturday, that it's closed now, but we will open it up after this first 90 days with a group of people that we already have in place. This Saturday is the first day that is taking place. We are pulling together 20 community leaders and organizers and people in their families and their homes, and we are taking them through a 90-day health journey so that they can develop their own personal practice. And I'll do a whole nother thing about how deep it is to do a practice. My man Kareem has this up. I want to make sure that you see this. How do we get it? How do we do it? Seek out a professional coach or therapist, point blank, period. Listen, let me say this to you. As Black people, I'm talking to my Black people right here. No offense to my fairer skinned European folks. I'm talking to Black and Indigenous people right here, because we the ones that with it. We have a blockage, both, as you can see from what she's talking about. We as a people have a blockage to receiving and getting mental health therapy and coaching. One, the reason why we don't have it is because we ain't never had it, and it's never been offered to us externally. Two is because the society is already trying to say that we crazy. So because the society says that we're crazy, and they put such a stigma on Black people as being crazy anyway, crazy niggas is the term they use, that we have an avoidance of seeking anything that deals with our mental health. For men, we have avoidance for seeking anything with our physical health too, but that's a whole nother story, sort of. So because of these barriers, right, we don't move towards getting coaching and therapy. But if you cannot show me someone who you admire that does not receive certain coaching and therapy. If you look at the greatest among us, whether you're talking about Michael Jordan, who was in therapy and received coaching, if you look at Kobe Bryant, therapy, coaching. If you look Oprah Winfrey, therapy, coaching. If you look at Serena, therapy, coaching. If you look at the sister singer who's married to Swiss Beats, Alicia Keys, therapy, coaching. If you look all throughout our greatness, part of our greatness element are those Black people that seek out therapy and coaching, not those people that don't. Therapy and coaching is our element of success, and we have to normalize that for us as a people and as a culture. And we have therapists and coaches in our community. Seek them out, reach them out, get in contact with them. So on that note, for real, third time is a charm. You know how it goes. I just was dropping in for this snow day. Buckle up and be warm. Keep yourself warm. Eat some good food. Drink some clean water. It's good to see many of you. The To Heal a People podcast is also launching this month. This is the To Heal a People Live. We have a To Heal the People podcast where we're going to be doing interviews with people like Dr. Joyce Degruy, where we're going to be doing interviews with African and indigenous healers from around the world and from the United States and from here at home who are engaged in alternative health healing practices in order to heal a people. So on that note, family, have a wonderful rest of the day. This is H Soul, To Heal a People. I'm out.